Hello, I'm Graham Fitch and I'm bringing you this video demonstration for Pianist magazine from Steinway Hall in London, and it complements the article I've written in issue 92, Deconstructing the Score. Now, what does deconstructing the score mean? Well, what I'm going to show you now is how to take elements of the score away. It might be a bass line, it might be a middle part, and the reason we do this is not just to learn notes in the first place when we're confronted with often a forest of notes. We need to sort of be able to unravel what's going on. But it's also a wonderful technique for memorization, testing the memory, and also for technical work. And I'm going to show you at the end with the Chopin ballade, the Coda from the G minor ballade that everybody practices ferociously all the way around the world. I've heard it through practice room doors. I'm going to show you a way of practicing that using the technique of deconstruction that if you apply it, you will thank me because it'll make it a whole lot easier. I guess the first type of deconstruction we do is blocking. So when we learn our scales, we tend to learn them like this, don't we, to start with, just in hand groups. Could be that way, it could be this way. See what I'm doing here? Thumb in a group, thumb in a group. And what that does is it shows our brain the patterns, much better than if we were to do note by note by note by note. When we learn this famous piece of Bach, the C major prelude from Book 1, that needs no introduction, I'm sure we've all played that. Now when we first learn it, again, this is not a secret, I'm sure all of us have done this, block it out, and if I play it just a touch faster than the speed, what happens is I can get a real sense of the harmonic progression. There's an end, there's a new beginning, diminished chord, diminished chord. So I can feel the intensity levels of the harmonies much better in the blocking than I might if I opened it up. So that when I go back then to opening it up, particularly this place, I'm going to feel that as an open and this as a closed, open, closed. And the blocking will really make a difference to that. Just one more example of blocking while I'm here, and I'm on the subject of Bach. The second prelude, the C minor, again, if I take the first two notes in each hand and play them together, just the first two notes in each hand of each bar, and play them rather faster, I get a beautiful harmonic progression that I can feel underneath as I play the patterns. So that's the technique of blocking. Now, let's look at how we can use the blocking technique in practice. What I'm going to do from this example from the Pathétique Sonata, let me just show it to you first, the second subject. Okay, we're familiar with that spot. What I'm going to do is, instead of playing my left hand, which is in itself an extra complication, instead of doing that, I'm just going to hold the chord down and block it while I play my other hand. You see the benefit of that? The left hand is actually it's in the position that it's going to need to be in, but it's not having to do very much work. It simply sits there until I have mastered the jumps here. Okay? And then once I've done that, I've already got this hand working, then I can open up my left hand. Now, one of my favorite ways to deconstruct a score is what I call building a hull. And you've got to think of an image of a ship here as it's being built, or a boat. It doesn't have any masts, it doesn't have any rigging yet, it's just the superstructure. And we can make musical hulls before we finish the final version with all the surface detail. I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to show you the finished product from the Mozart K332 B-flat sonata, well, the movements in B-flat. Let me just show it to you. First of all, with all the notes. First 4 bars, let me show you. This is the finished product. I'm going to do now is to show you the holes that we do have in the magazine. If you've got the magazine in front of you, I'm going to be playing exactly what we've got there. This is hole number one, simplification number one. This is, for me, probably the most basic simplification. So instead of, for bar one, I'm just going to play this. Bar two, just the bare bones, just the outline. And again, I wouldn't be writing this out. It happens to have been written out, but I would just do that with the score. Just figuring out what the important notes are. This is the second hull. I'm just adding a little bit more detail now, a little bit more surface detail. That lovely accented passing note here too. Just enjoy it. A little passing note there in the tenor. And I'm just observing the next layer up. Here is the last layer, well, the last layer but one, with a little more surface detail. See how I'm now adding. And then I get to play that rather lovely E natural. And then when I go back to the proper tempo, you see how that's evolved from the simplest of beginnings to the finished, embroidered, fully dressed, fully made up version that Mozart gave us. That's more for, certainly good for memorization if you can play a whole from memory. I'm going to show you one now which is more for refining the motor control, or you might call it the technical difficulty. And this is another piece of Mozart. This is the Rondo alla Turca, the F-sharp minor section. Let me just show you the full section that I'd like to work with. Again, it's in the magazine. Okay, we all know this, I'm sure. What I'm going to do now is to deliberately leave out certain notes in the right hand, which instead of playing, I imagine. And then I rejoin the passage work at a strategic moment. Let me show you what it sounds like. And what I'm doing is I'm hearing in my inner ear the notes that I haven't played. And again, try and find as many different ways of doing this as possible. Here's another version. Different notes played, different notes missed out. Get the idea? And if you want to do something spectacular, you could actually mime the notes that you're missing out by just touching the surface of the key. Let me show you slowly. It's hard. Yeah, that's challenging. I'd have to practice that myself. There is another example in the magazine, but I think I can probably leave that out. I think you've got the idea now. So that is the Rondo alla Turca. You can apply that same idea to almost anything that's got running passages. The idea is we keep our left hand intact at all times, and we pre-select snippets to overlay in the right hand. Let me end with the coda of the G minor ballade. I'm not going to sit and play it, but I will show you in slow motion the place that I'm going to be looking at with you. The beginning of the coda. Okay, you recognize it from that. The right hand is made up of a big chord here, 3-note chord, followed by a single note, another 3-note chord, and so on. Chord, single note, and then again here. Now, to deconstruct this, and I promise you this is seriously useful practice, you'll really notice a difference after doing it just once. If you do it every day for a week or so, you'll find that your right hand just fits like a glove. What I'm going to do is omit the top 2 notes and just play from the lower. It happens to be second finger to thumb. again, I'm shaping the line. I'm not worrying too much about the fortissimo, going for a mezzo kind of quality. So that was the lowest note of the big 3-note chord. Now what I'm going to do is take the middle note of the 3-note chord and go down to my lower note. Sounds kind of strange like that. Again, I would do that until I could do that really comfortably and really easily with no kind of fumbling or hesitating. The last one of the singles is the top note of the chord to the thumb. Let me just guide you through that. And again, I'm doing it in slow motion so you can really hear and see what I'm doing. That really shows the outside of my hand what it has to do. And I can really feel the interval there. And I can follow that logic through. Then, you think that's finished, but it's not. There's another stage. 2 notes. Instead of 3, I'm going to take 2 notes. So the bottom 2 without the top. And again, if you're playing this piece from memory, which you probably will be able to do this from memory. It's a wonderful way of securing the memory. Now what I'm going to do is the top 2 notes without the second finger. And I think there's one I've missed out, which is the, let me now omit the middle. So I'm now playing the upper and the lower. So that when I put them all together, I just feel that that's fitting fantastically comfortably. So do enjoy these deconstruction ideas that I've shown you, and I'll look forward to seeing you again soon.